So here are two bullish companies that you might want to pay attention to in the next 2 days. What's going on, guys? It's Ricky, and let's talk about it. And actually, what I mean by bullish is one of them is bullish and the other one hasn't been actually quite recently. Costco is actually the one that's overall very bullish. If you guys pay attention to Costco, it actually reports earnings after the market closes on the 26th. So that is this Thursday. This actually caught me by surprise, one of the first times that I ever paid attention to Costco. But Costco is an incredibly bullish stock. Who would have thought, right? Costco is an incredibly well-ran company. It's a very well-ran, publicly traded company, and it shows continuous higher highs and higher lows. I mean, when you would look at this, you would think that, oh, wow, maybe it's a big tech company, billion-dollar company. Nope. I mean, it is a billion-dollar company, nearly $400 billion, approaching previous all-time highs, but it's not a tech company, right? It's a retail grocery store or whatever it is that you want to call it, Costco, where you keep the cost low. It's a warehouse kind of store. And they report earnings this Thursday. So I just want to make sure that you guys are aware that they do report after the market closes. And I'm pretty straightforward when it comes down to this. If Costco ends up aggressively selling off, I would love to buy and enter a swing trade on Costco. I mean, that's really just it, right? Direction is extremely favorable. So anytime that it pulls on back, I view it as a dip by opportunity and being able to make money as it recovers, as it tends to show consistent higher highs and higher lows. It does have pullbacks from time to time, but again, ultimately, if you can tolerate the time that it will take for this stock to recover, it always ends up recovering, at least based off of its history. I thought it would be a stock at least for you to be aware of that. Maybe, again, if it ends up making you highs, then that's fine, right? We missed out on this rally, but maybe you can add it to your watch list if it meets your criteria, and you can follow up with it when an opportunity presents itself that actually meets your criteria. The next one that I want to talk about is Micron Technologies, ticker symbol MU. It was actually a previously really bullish company, but then it peaked kind of mid-2024, and it's been pulling back ever since. This one reports earnings tomorrow after the market closes, and I thought it would be something worth noting. The reason why is that it recently pulled back from highs of $157 now to lows of $85. It's currently trading at $94 and pending reversal, right? So if you look at this on the 4-hour time frame, we're testing this moving average that's been descending and showing signs of lower highs, lower lows. If we break above this moving average and begin to trade above, this will be the first time since we initially sold off back in July of 2024, right? So just a few months ago, that's what sparked this sell-off, lower highs, lower lows, and it's been a descending pattern ever since. So we will see tomorrow after the market closes, if it reports earnings better than what is expected and its guidance is better than what is expected, then maybe we can see a nice little uptick and potentially have a nice little swing trade set up, as Micron Technologies has a lot of upside potential. But if it ends up getting rejected and goes back to retest, then the cheap can get cheaper. And again, at that point, it's just waiting for direction to be in favor for the bulls. So at that point, it would just be adding it to your watch list, setting alerts, and following up with it when it's no longer selling off. So it is showing a lot of signs of consolidation, signs of potential support. But remember, if there is no confirmation or price action indicating signs of a recovery, then we want to be very cautious and careful jumping in, hoping for something to happen that never actually does, right? And that's kind of like my short today with Nvidia. I talked about Nvidia. If you're part of my LPP team, you would have seen that I covered my short as we aggressively, not aggressively, but we initially pulled back and we started making new lows to lows of 120. I was opening short. I was adding more to my short at these overbought levels. So as it pulled on back, it did help out a little bit, but I went from $2,500 in the green to $2,500 in the red. Therefore, it was a total loss of $5,000 if you take into consideration on how much it was that I was up. But I ended the day at $2,500 in the red. So we'll just see how it ends up trading tomorrow. And for those that are asking, why did it trade the way that it did? It was the news that we brought up in today's earlier video. The part that just doesn't make sense to me on why that sparked an aggressive push is, if you've been paying attention to Nvidia, Jensen had a trade plan, and that was announced in March of 2024. I mean, he said that he was going to sell $713 million worth of his stock, and that he had up until 2025. All this news is saying is that, okay, well, he has now sold all of it. But I guess they like to word it with, he is done selling. Now we can begin to skyrocket. But if you really think about it, this is not anything to, in my opinion, to get excited about. He was going to sell 713 million before. He sold 713. This kind of just reminds me of like when a company announces a stock split to just lower its face value price per share just to excite a bunch of like dumb retail traders, right? There's really nothing that changed. It's just, again, what was announced back in March of 2024 is now done, right? And that is it. There's no new news. But yep, it sent the stock skyrocketing. And rightfully so. I mean, the market has been pretty stagnant, so we'll see if it continues, because as of right now, if we pay attention to NASDAQ futures, they are slightly in the red, showing signs of lower highs and lower lows. And this has been since the market has closed. So what this is telling us is we are beginning to retrace. And if the NASDAQ continues to sell off, that normally means that if the NASDAQ sells off, normally so does Nvidia. But we'll see if that hype continues. Remember, my job here is not to pretend to be perfect, but to make you aware of overbought and oversold levels, and to never be afraid to encourage you to look out for yourself. At overbought levels, you should never be afraid to take profits. At oversold levels, you should never be afraid to take advantage of an opportunity if it meets your criteria. So very excited to kick off tomorrow's live trading session. I hope to see you there. And whenever you're ready to tune on in, it's the second link in the description down below. You can sign up today and watch me trade live as soon as tomorrow. Hope that earned your thumbs up. Please consider subscribing. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.